Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Simon from Siphon T C G. And guys, thank you guys for coming to my video. And this will most likely be the last video of 2022. And before I get into any specific details, guys, thank you guys for an awesome year. This has been, weirdly enough, one of the best years of my life when it comes to a large amount of aspects. Now, if you follow my journey on a lot of things, there have been some lows, but I think one of the things that my brother always told me is you gotta look for those very small victories, and those small victories are the things that grow. And I can definitely see that I've grown a lot this year. Started off this year playing Magic the Gathering, if you guys seen, and now we're here at the end of the year. I'm a Flesh Mud content creator who has grown his audience. I don't know the percentage off the top of my head, but I think it was 300%. Now, I don't have a crap ton of subscribers as compared to a lot of people, but if you're just looking at the growth percentage, I definitely think that if you would have asked me at the beginning of the year, would I be sitting at the amount of subscribers I'm at, and I would have said, maybe if I got lucky. But through the hard work that I've done, I think I am succeeding right now, and I don't think there's anywhere but up. I know it's a very cliche thing to say, but honestly, it's only going to go up from here because with the help from you guys, I'm going to keep going. With your guys' love and support, we're going to do this thing. My goal is to have 3 million subscribers by the end of 2023, and only you watching this can help me out. But enough sappy stuff. Let's talk about this. So this is going to be part 1 of, who knows, of my journey to Kano. And I'm really just going to kind of sit there and kind of talk about my progression because I think why this is going to be very interesting for a lot of people is Kano is one of the few decks in Flesh and Blood where you really can tell someone's skill. You really can grow with a deck. Because let's say, I think your first game of Fi is not much different from your 10th game of Fi, and your 10th game of Fi is not much different from your 50th game of Fi, and your 50th game of Fi is not really different from your 100th. Now, obviously, you will slowly occur more and more knowledge, but I don't think it translates into as big a percentage gain as your first game of Kano compared to your 20th game of Kano, compared to your 50th, then your 100th, and your 1000th. I think almost at every single increment, you will be a significantly better player. And I think this is one of the few decks. This deck rewards a lot of good deck building. It gives you a lot of good rewards if you understand the fundamentals of every other deck. And funny enough, if you guys have watched my podcast, this was actually going to be the first ever deck that I owned. What happened was, when I decided to play Flesh and Blood, I was technically still in Magic the Gathering at the time, and I asked my group that I knew play Flesh and Blood at Taylor Coffee Total Game Experience. I was like, you guys know I'm a big combo player. What type of deck is considered a combo deck in Flesh and Blood? And the first thing I got told was, well, Kano is just like Storm in Modern. Storm in Modern, you say? If you guys know what my Modern history is, the first ever deck I owned for Modern was... Is it Storm? Because the deck was, 1, very cheap, but 2, it was just like Kano. You constantly grew with the deck, and you could see the results grow and grow and grow. And it's a very rewarding deck to win. I'd say winning a game with, I don't know, like I said, most of the aggro decks, right? It doesn't really feel rewarding to win. It's just alright, my hand was generally just better than theirs. I was able to maybe do some cute things here and there, but largely I felt kind of control my destiny, and it was a very sure thing. I think with Kano, it's almost every single game is a massive puzzle, and to be able to solve that puzzle is very hard outside of very niche circumstances where you high roll the hell out of someone. But even to know that what you have is a high roll and how to perfectly execute it in a deck like this, and just like Storm, very, very rewarding. So where are we starting with Kano? I started actually building this, funny enough, for UPF. And you might be saying, UPF? Well, I do have one video on UPF. A couple of the fellows at my local shop decided to try to get UPF into a little bit better format. Now, at the time, we really didn't care for UPF individually as a format because obviously LSS themselves have said it is a kitchen table casual format, and that is not what we're interested in. But obviously, I was a CDH player when I played Magic, so I got to thinking: is there a way that we can take UPF and turn it into something better than it currently is? And I truthfully think we have. With some of the roofs, obviously, I'll leave in the description. Hopefully, I remember. This is a challenge to the Isaac that's editing this to remember to put stuff in the description and obviously put stuff in the video. We challenged ourselves to make the rules of UPF better, and I think we did. And we have a gameplay of it. For that one, I played Control Dash, but one of the big things I thought was just like, what would be a big equalizer at the table? A game that fights on a different axis than all the other decks, that can still win in a very fair manner. But obviously doesn't play against rule sets. And I think the only deck that does that, well, the two decks would be Icelander and Wizard, but that's Wizard as an archetype. It doesn't play by the traditional rules of Flesh and Blood. And I think Kano very, very specifically, especially how we have the rules lined up, really, really is insane. I'll give you kind of a brief description. I don't really want to make this a UPF video. Is in UPF, anytime you get attacked by physical damage, you get a counter, an emblem like in Magic. This cannot be interacted with. If you have one counter, and this can build up as many as you want, as many times you get attacked. If you have one counter, you can put a card from your graveyard on the bottom of your deck. If you have two, you can instant speed draw a card. So, what's the one thing that we would love to do in Kano? We'll draw cards. What's the one thing that we can do to other people that they can do to us? Arcane damage. The important thing is, if they want to hit us with damage, they have to attack us physically, giving us cards. If we want to attack people, we can do that. We don't have to give them cards. And that revelation brought me to Kano. And again, this was just going to be something casual. But when we were setting up the game, someone asked me if I wanted to just play a game of Kano. And I was like, sure. And I got very close to winning. I pulled off a combo. I kind of messed it up a little bit. But I seen it. I felt the victor. I felt the win. It was just, I just did not understand what I was doing. But I was close enough to be like, okay, what can I do better? So I played another game. And another game. And another game. And I lost all 6 games. It was 6 games of Kano. But every single game, I started to kind of understand how the deck ticked a little bit more and more. Now, Kano is a deck that I have seen from the outside and watched other people play, other people talk about it. I was like, yeah, this seems interesting, but it seems like a lot of work. Not a lot of work I'm planning on doing, right? But after those games, I was just like, well, I have a decent portion of the deck. Why don't I just throw it together and see what happens? So, didn't even play the UPF game, went home, and I started looking up stuff on Kano. Now, I didn't play a single game on Teleshore yet, but I looked up a bunch of stuff, mostly just gameplays of Alexander Vore, Hayden Doe, Brendan Patrick playing it. But I think the thing that really broke through was We Make Best, if you guys have watched that YouTube channel. And it was his, god dang it, which, I actually need to look this up live, which exact video it was, because this was a big eye-opener to Kano, and made Kano look a little bit easier. It was this one right here. It was the Dynasty Kano Deck Tech and Gameplay Breakdown. And this was the first time that I really seen someone make a video on Kano that I could understand. I understood what he was saying, and it didn't just go in one ear and out the other. And I'm gonna also put this in the description, hopefully. And I think more people need to watch this, even if you're not a Kano enjoyer. I just think the content that they're making is interesting. Now, actually, one quick thing I do want to talk about before I continue is I did technically lie. I did do one thing with Kano before all this, and this is actually just slightly before. Funny enough, also by We Make Best was the Brainstorm Kano, which I actually have a video on the channel about. And I was like, why would I play the hard version of Kano when I can just play Neoform? So Neoform was a deck I also played in Modern, and the long story short version of the deck was you're trying to get a creature out, you're trying to draw like your whole entire deck, and then win the game. In the Brainstorm version, you're trying to draw your whole entire deck and kill someone. I thought that was really cool. But obviously the power level of it wasn't absolutely fantastic, but I knew the power level of Kano. So then obviously that's where everything kind of trickled into the UPF and then starting to play test, and then he came out with this video, and I was like, alright, I'm going to just try this thing out. I played, I want to say, like 3 or 4 games of Talishar and Kano, lost every single one of them, but kind of just like playing in the real life, I was just like, okay, hold on a second, something is there. If someone like me, who has almost no experience playing this style deck in Flesh and Blood, because up to this point for the last like 3 months, I'm playing nothing but Control Dash and a load of OTK Viscerai. None of those decks play like this deck. This deck obviously plays on Inexes. Now, yes, I did play Icelander in the past, but I don't have the amount of Icelander games where I can be like, yep, instantly transition to this deck, I understand what's going on. This was a whole new experience for me, especially being the aggressor. With Control Dash, you are not the aggressor. You are anything but the aggressor until you have Exodia online. So, after those first few games, I rewatched his video. Then he actually came out with a few other videos, just explaining some of the combos. And all I did for almost 2 weeks is every single day of my day off, for about 10 or 15 minutes, all I did was just goldfish. Now, I truthfully didn't understand all of the combos. I only knew like 1 or 2. But I was just saying, okay, what do I do with this hand? What do I do with this hand? Let me just go fish until I combo off. Let me go fish until I combo off. I'm just going to keep doing this. And it felt really good. So then I went back, watched all his video agains. I started watching gameplay. And slowly everything started to like sync. Now this is not me saying I'm a master of Kano. I'm far from. But things started to click. And that's where we kind of come to now. I'll post it right here. This is my current win rate with Kano, at least on Talishar. And obviously, it's not the great, but I would say the majority of these games were last week, and I've gotten most of my wins this week. By this week, I mean like the last like 2 days. And it's still not a lot, because Kano at the end of the day is still a very hard deck. But actually, funny enough, yesterday, I went to my local armory. I played Dash in the armory. Didn't do well, so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just go fish with some Kano. And while I was go fishing, someone asked me if I wanted to play, and I was just like, sure. I actually was just completing the deck. I've slowly, like, but surely gotten pieces of the deck to the point where I have the Hunter deck except Storm Striders, because someone, for some reason, sold a Storm Striders when they had one. I don't know who sold a Storm Striders, you know, a staple wizard thing that will only go up in price. Who did that? I wonder who did that, man. Could be anyone. And I was just like, sure, let's just play. The first technical game I played of it was a UPF game, because I wanted to do it, and I got absolutely dumpstered. Everyone knew to kill me first, rightfully so, and I actually ended up killing someone else. I killed the Isolado player that kept disrupting me, because I was already getting hit by 2 Odoms, and then I have an Icelander to the right of me just saying, hey, how about you also just die? And I'm like, oh, that's cool. But that game showed me, okay, so me playing this deck, it just makes me a threat. So again, the power level of this deck has to be a certain point. So then I played 5 games of Kano afterward, and I went 4-1 against a Bravo and a Rhinar. And one of those games I won 28-0, and it wasn't a high roll game. I won on like turn 6 or 7. It was just me constantly listening to the videos, me constantly gold fishing. It really felt like all of it started to click. And I think one of the big advantages that I have over a lot of the Kano players that have been coming up the last few months is I have so much content readily available at me. I'm just currently on YouTube, like right now, and I'm just typing in my best Kano. I'm gonna type in Flesh and Blood Kano, and you can just see, just in the last like 2 months, how much content is here. And then if you look at anything that's less than 3 months, you got a random video 9 months, another random video 9 months, 3 months, a year. Yeah, most of the Kano stuff is literally been recent. It's obviously been since Dynasty came out, because Dynasty is what gave a lot of the boost to this deck. But it's just crazy that I have all these resources at my fingertips. And a lot of the Kano players that are here didn't have that. So what took them 100 games to finally understand, I get to understand by watching the video a few times and then practicing a few times myself. Like learning what the combos are, like the average combos. I don't need to play. I didn't need to play 1,000 games to figure them out. I'm literally just being told, hey, these are almost 20 different combos that I've learned, like just in the last few days, because I'm watching a video, then obviously just constantly practicing it. And for me to go 4-1 against, I would probably say one of the best Bravo players in the world. Every single event that he's went to, he's either gotten close to top 8 or he's top 8'd. And he's taken on some very, very notable names in these events. There might be some gameplay, not like a Art of War, but some just gameplay of me playing against him. His name's Patrick Stampert. You've probably seen him at some of the events in Ohio. And for me to go for 4-1 against him, obviously it's just playtesting. It's not like no money on the line. This is just for playtesting. I still think that matters, because me and him have like a personal rivalry against each other. Like when it comes to anything, like we want to be the person that wins, so we can just run our mouth to the other person. But I won, and most of the games pretty convincingly too. And most of the wins, I just felt slowly coming. Like I was like, "Yep, I'm slowly just blocking out, chipping them down." But I know eventually I'm going to get to these certain cards. No matter what, he cannot stop me, and I just know when my window is, and it's just amazing. And like I said, I'm documenting this obviously for myself, because I do want to see myself grow with Kano, but also wanting to document this for other people. If anything, any deck you ever want to play, anything you want to do, it will take time. But I want you to be able to see that nothing happens instantly. It does take time to grow, and you will be able to see the growth. Like I said, I've grown so much over this. I want to say I've played like 40 games of Kano since I've been like somewhat committed, right? I've already seen vast improvement. So what's going to happen in the next month and a half, when now I've played another 200 games of Kano? So I have like 250 games of Kano under my belt. What is going to be my perspective then? I'm gonna start throwing some gameplay behind you guys of me executing the combos until sure, and just some simple things. I think that was probably one of the greatest things that helped me out, is just knowing how to execute combo, because I know what all the cards do. Like I know how to read, but it's just knowing that you do A plus B and then C happens, and this is the most consistent way to make A plus B happen. How do you even get to A plus B? How do you last long enough? Because one of the biggest things that I didn't know what to do was, okay, I'm playing against 5. 5 is just going to literally obliterate my skull. What do I do? Well, now I know how to play against 5 better. Obviously, I'm going to improve against 5 tremendously. But just like now that I actually have some form of baseline, I have some form of baseline again of how to face Fi, how to face Odom, yada yada yada. I think it's great. I think I want to culminate this video series, specifically talking about Kano, is I want to do a breakdown of me at a ProQuest, a Road to Nationals, a Battle Harden, or some type of event of me playing Kano. So we're going to need to get good enough, get enough reps with Kano just for me to want to bring it to an event. Like, that's already like going to be a big step. Because it took me a while to want to bring Control Dash to an event. I wanted to get super comfortable. We're going to get comfortable enough with one of the hardest, if not the hardest deck in Flesh and Blood, just to bring it to an event. Because like right now, I might bring it to my armory next week because I have a storm shards I can borrow. But would I ever bring this to a pro quest? Heck no, not now. But when I'm comfortable enough to bring it there, that's step one. Step two is success. This is like going like undefeated day one or top 8 or winning. Dude, imagine if I make a video with like my Pro Quest winning Kano build or my Road to Nationals qualifying Kano build. Do you guys understand how like big that's gonna be? That's my goal right now. Is I want to get comfortable enough with Kano. And obviously, unfortunately, with the Pro Quest season happening, I will need to devote a little more extra time to Control Dash just to make sure I'm sure up on that. But obviously, I will be playing Kano in the background. I want to get comfortable enough with Kano to want to bring it to an event that matters. And then I want to get good enough with Kano to where I can actually have a result. That's my goal. And I want to bring you guys along for the journey. So thank you guys for obviously watching and me just kind of talking my head off there. But I really, really wanted to just get you guys involved in what we're doing. And if you're playing a deck too that you're just not starting out, comment down below what you're playing and your progress with it. Why don't we just do this all together, man? I see no better way to do this than to do it with you guys, and for you guys to do it to me. If you guys enjoyed this video, you guys are on YouTube, make sure you guys like, favorite, and subscribe to the video. Comment down below what you guys want to see. Your feedback is always appreciated. I've actually also opened up my DMs on Discord. I actually have had a few people message me, and that has been absolutely amazing. And if you guys ever want to reach out to me, please do not hesitate to ask me there or comment down below. It's been your boy Simon from Siphon TCG. I'll see you guys next time. Peace!